Imagine being aboard a ship in 1839 where 53 enslaved Africans captured in present-day Sierra Leone are being transported from Havana, Cuba. The ship is La Amistad, a Spanish vessel, and its cargo is more than just merchandise. It carries human lives, lives that are about to ignite a spark of rebellion that will echo through the corridors of history. Among these enslaved individuals is Sengbe Pie, known by his captors as Joseph Cinque. A man of strength and resilience, he hails from the Mende tribe in Sierra Leone. Cinque's spirit isn't broken by chains, instead it's fueled by a burning desire for freedom. In the sweltering heat of June, the ship sails from Havana towards Puerto Principe, Cuba. The air is thick with tension, the enslaved African's eyes flickering with an unspoken understanding. One day, the breaking point arrives. Led by Cinque, these 53 souls rise against their captors, seizing control of the ship in a whirlwind of defiance and courage. The revolt is swift and potent, chains of bondage are broken, and for a moment the air tastes of freedom. Their captors are overpowered and the enslaved Africans find themselves in control of the ship that was meant to be their prison. But their fight is far from over. They demand to be returned to Africa, their homeland, their place of solace. They yearn for the familiar landscapes, the smell of their land, the memories of their loved ones. They dream of liberty, of a life unshackled from the horrors of servitude. But the high seas are treacherous and full of uncertainty. The captives are now captains, but they navigate uncharted waters, their destination clouded by the deceptive guidance of the surviving crew. The ship, La Amistad, becomes a symbol of their struggle, their bravery, and their relentless pursuit of freedom. With the ship now under their control, the captives' journey was about to take an unexpected turn. In the vast expanse of the ocean, the revolted Africans navigated the ship, but their journey was far from over. They had courageously wrested control of the Amistad from their captors, and their hearts were set on a course back to Africa. But the unyielding waves of the sea were not the only obstacles they faced. They had a ship, they had a crew, but what they didn't have was knowledge of navigation. They were mariners by circumstance, not by training. They were reliant on the two surviving crew members, who they had spared to guide them back to their homeland. But these men had their own agenda. Rather than steering a course for Africa, the crew set the ship's sails northward, towards the United States. The enslaved Africans, unaware of this deceit, believed they were on their way home, but instead, they were being led towards a destination that would put them back into the clutches of slavery's chains. It was the tail end of August, 1839, when the silhouette of the Amistad appeared on the horizon off the coast of Long Island, New York. The USS Washington, a United States Navy brig, spotted the ship. Curiosity piqued by the unusual sight of a Spanish vessel in these waters, the Washington closed in. As the naval ship approached, the truth of the situation on the Amistad came to light. The revolt, the takeover, the attempt to return home, it all unfurled. The Washington's crew, however, saw not a group of freedom fighters but mutineers and killers. They arrested the Africans, seizing control of the Amistad, and extinguishing the hope of a swift return to their homeland. The Africans' fight for freedom had only just begun, as they were arrested and thrust into a legal battle that would capture the world's attention. The journey of the Amistad had ended, but the journey of these brave souls, their fight for justice, was about to begin. The courtroom became a battleground as the surviving Africans were charged with mutiny and murder. The wheels of justice began to turn, but not without a fight. For these men, women and children, survivors of a revolt aboard the Amistad, their ordeal had taken an unexpected turn. The confines of a ship had been replaced with the equally unfamiliar and intimidating walls of a U.S. courtroom. At the heart of these legal battles were abolitionists, individuals who championed the cause of ending slavery. Among them was a name that needs no introduction: John Quincy Adams, former President of the United States. Now don't let the title fool you. Adams was no stranger to the courtroom. He had served as a lawyer before his presidency and was well versed in the art of legal argument. Adams, along with other abolitionists, took up the cause of the Amistad survivors, arguing that they were not slaves but free individuals who had been unlawfully enslaved. In their eyes, these Africans were not criminals but victims of a far greater crime: the transatlantic slave trade. Their defense was not just about proving the innocence of these individuals but also about challenging the very institution of slavery. The legal case became a spectacle, attracting significant public attention. Newspapers were filled with debates, discussions, and speculations about the case. The courtroom was often packed with spectators eager to witness the unfolding drama. This was not just any trial, it was a symbolic fight against slavery, a fight for human rights. Yet, this was more than just a national concern. The implications of the case reached beyond the borders of the United States. It became a beacon for the international abolitionist movement, shining a light on the brutal realities of the transatlantic slave trade. The case of the Amistad survivors was a rallying point, a call to arms for all those who believed in the cause of freedom and equality. In the midst of this legal and political storm, the Amistad survivors remained steadfast. They continued to fight for their freedom, refusing to be silenced, refusing to be written off as mere property. Their resilience became a testament to the human spirit, a testament to the inherent desire for freedom that resides in us all. The legal battles fought in the courtroom that day marked a significant chapter in the fight against slavery. It was a struggle for justice, a struggle for freedom, a struggle that would leave an indelible mark on the annals of history. As the case reached the highest court in the land, the fate of the Africans hung in the balance. The stage was set for a landmark decision, a decision that would not only determine the fate of the Amistad survivors, but also set a precedent for future cases, but that, my friends, is a story for another day. The year was 1841, and the United States Supreme Court was about to make a landmark decision. A case like no other was presented before the esteemed judges. The case was titled, United States vs. the Amistad, a name that would be engraved in the annals of history. The court was tasked with deciding the fate of a group of Africans who had revolted against their captors aboard the Spanish ship, La Amistad. The arguments were intense, and the stakes were high. The key question was whether these Africans were legally slaves or free individuals who had been unlawfully enslaved. The abolitionists, led by none other than former President John Quincy Adams, presented a compelling argument. They contended that the Africans, under international law, were free individuals who had been illegally transported and sold into slavery. The Africans, they argued, had every right to revolt against their captors and fight for their freedom. The Supreme Court, in a historic ruling, sided with the Africans. They decreed that the Africans had indeed been illegally enslaved. The court recognized their inherent right to fight for their freedom, a decision that sent shockwaves around the world. But the story didn't end there. After the ruling, the surviving Africans were faced with the task of returning to their homeland, Sierra Leone. This journey home was made possible with the help of the abolitionists who had championed their cause in court. The American Missionary Association also played a significant role in their repatriation. This momentous Supreme Court decision was more than a legal victory. It was a monumental step towards recognizing the humanity of all individuals, regardless of their origin or circumstances. This ruling set a precedent, asserting that even the most marginalized individuals have the right to fight for their freedom. The Amistad case had been won, but its legacy was far from over. The echoes of this case would continue to reverberate through history, shaping the discourse on human rights and the abolitionist movement for years to come. The Amistad case stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be silenced, those who dare to challenge injustice, and those who never stop fighting for freedom. The Amistad case was more than a legal battle. It was a symbol of resistance, justice, and the universal quest for freedom. It ripped away the veil, revealing the brutal realities of the transatlantic slave trade, showcasing the unyielding resilience of enslaved Africans who dared to challenge their fate. The audacity of these enslaved individuals, their fight for freedom, served as a beacon, illuminating the path for others. The echoes of the Amistad case reverberated across the United States and around the world, galvanizing the abolitionist movement with renewed vigor. It was a thunderclap, a rallying cry that spurred on those who dared to dream of a world free from the shackles of slavery. The story of the Amistad serves as a stark reminder of the atrocities of slavery and the ongoing struggle for human rights and equality. It stands as a testament to the courage and resilience of those who dared to fight against the injustices of the transatlantic slave trade.